This is the highly anticipated Ola S1 Air. It's a scooter that was promised to us sometime last year, and many things have changed since then. For example, at that point in time, Ola said that this would have a 2.5 kilowatt hour battery pack and it would cost 80,000 rupees, which was going to shake the whole game up. But then the FAME 2 subsidy got significantly slashed and every EV manufacturer had to change its plans, including Ola. Today's Ola S1 Air has a 3 kilowatt hour battery pack and a starting price of 1.1 lakh rupees. And if you buy it after 15th August, that becomes 1.2 lakh rupees. That's the introduction. Let's tell you what this scooter is all about. As you can see from the outset, it looks very similar to the Ola S1 Pro, and that's because it more or less is. What's different is that there's now dual tone bodywork, and when we say dual tone, we mean that this is actually just black plastic. That helps to save cost. In fact, most things about the scooter are designed to save cost. For example, the wheels are pressed steel units. These are not alloys. Thankfully though, this scooter does move to a telescopic front fork. Now Ola did have that single side system, it did have some problems, and they have switched over to the telescopic design, which is the standard across the industry. Another thing that changes at the back is that there is no mid-mounted motor anymore. It's a more cost-effective hub-mounted motor. That results in a dual-sided swing arm. You don't get that lovely exposed wheel on this side. It's drum brakes on both ends, and that's effectively the cost-saving measures. The features on the scooter, pretty much the same as the more expensive S1 Pro, and that's a very nice thing. You still get that big 7-inch TFT display and all the features, including the ride modes, the moods, the sound system, it's all on this scooter as well. However, we did find that the screen could be a little buggy and slow to respond. So, let's talk about performance now. The hub-mounted motor is rated for a peak of 4.5 kilowatts of power, which is significantly lower than the S1 Pro. Still, this scooter claims a top speed of 90 kph, which you'll see on the speedometer. We do know that Olas have quite a lot of speedo error, so we will have to strap our V-Box onto it and test the true GPS top speed. But I can tell you right now that this is still one of the quickest scooters in the country, petrol or electric. And you really don't need much more performance than this for an everyday scooter. So the performance is definitely lower than the S1 Pro, but in the general sense, this is a very familiar feeling scooter to ride, and that familiarity extends to the way it feels when you sit on it. The riding position is more or less the same, but there's one big change, and that's the fact that it now has a flat floorboard. So you can put your luggage out there, you can put small things, grocery bags. It's a lot more convenient. The floorboard itself is not very large. It does curve up towards the back, and the height of it is a little high, especially if you're a tall person. Nevertheless, this is an improvement over the standard Ola S1 Pro. Now, speaking about familiarity, a lot of things on this scooter do remain the same. This is now quite pleasant weather in Bengaluru. It's the middle of the day, it's just 31 degrees, which is really not bad. But when you ride the scooter like this for about 10-15 minutes, it goes into a thermal restricted mode, which is something we saw with the original S1 Pro, and it continues on the S1 Air as well.
Reduced performance. Can't switch modes.
That being said, it does restrict itself to normal mode, which doesn't give you the urgent acceleration, but you can still hold 70 kph, which again is better than it used to be on the S1 Pro when the performance was restricted. Nevertheless, the company sells a scooter with big performance claims, and those who commute longer distances on faster roads on a daily basis will expect that the S1 Air should deliver the performance that it promises. As of now, it cannot do that. The motor also feels a little jerky when you accelerate or decelerate at low speeds, and it almost feels like there's something loose rolling around in the boot. Also, just like the S1 Pro, this scooter still has poorly tuned accelerator responses. The S1 Air takes a little time to respond to your inputs, and then it continues to accelerate for about half a second after you close the accelerator. Also, like the older Olas, the motor gets cut the moment you even lightly touch the brakes. Combined with the unnatural accelerator response, this borders between annoying and mildly dangerous when you're trying to make U-turns or tight maneuvers in traffic. Now, Ola has significantly revised the chassis to allow for that new front suspension and the completely different swing arm design at the back. The boot space has also been revised, and while it is now slightly smaller at 34 litres, this is still a huge storage space, and it's one of the big selling points on this scooter. This is definitely one of the best boots in the business. That being said, quality all over has never been a strong Ola point, and it continues to be that way on the S1 Air. There are inconsistent panel gaps all over. The boot sometimes doesn't want to shut, sometimes it does. I don't know what that was. And even when the scooter is shut, there's still a lot of flex in here. You can actually get your hand in there and still grab out some small items if you want to. Now, Ola does tell us that these are pre-production units, so hopefully in time some of these issues will iron themselves out. Now, when it comes to suspension comfort, unfortunately we've only had the chance to ride the bike around Ola's factory on some really nice and smooth roads, so I can't really give you much feedback there. But from what I've experienced today over a couple of small bumps, this actually does feel a little more comfortable than the S1 Pro. Braking wise, the performance is not bad either. This is a drum brake and you will have to grab it with a full handful, but the overall performance is not bad. We would like the option of a disc brake because drums are just more painful to deal with. They catch water in the monsoon, they need to be frequently adjusted, but that option is not currently available on the S1 Air, even if you want to pay for it. So after a brief experience with the scooter today, here's how we're going to sum it up. The overall experience is very similar to the Ola S1 Pro. It's still a quick scooter, it still has many features and it's still a fun looking thing, especially in these bright colors. Speaking of colors, this matte finish doesn't look that nice when you examine it up close, and it might be a little more difficult to maintain. A gloss finish will probably do better on the Ola S1 Air. Nevertheless, if you do want to buy an Ola S1 scooter, we think that the Air makes more sense than the Pro because it offers much of the same experience. Unfortunately, this scooter still has some significant bugs and quality issues, and we would caution that you should wait until it is clear that the company has ironed out these issues.